Okay, so first of all, I just want to apologize for waiting as long as I did. Like literally, this is the latest I have had a video, a race review video drop or stream in my situation. Um, but yeah, there's been a lot of thunderstorms in my house, and the power has been going in and out. I had no internet this morning, so I wasn't able to start streaming. And I didn't want to stream honestly out of my own fear that the stream would cut off and the internet would come out would go out because of the power going out in my house. But now that it's not really raining or thundering in my house right now, it's still very overcast though, and it looks like it could rain all the way until tonight. So I'm just gonna put this video out now because as I said, it just wouldn't feel right for me to go into next week without having talked about the previous week's race. So let's just get into it right now. Cup Series race at Iowa. We are finally getting a Cup race at Iowa. Looking back, it's honestly surprising that it took NASCAR this long to go to Iowa for a Cup race, considering they have been racing at this place since 2009 and then until 2019, and then for both Xfinity and Truck Series. I believe there was a stretch in time where they were running at Iowa twice in both series. They also have gone. They also had this joint event with the ARCA East, ARCA West series. They have a joint event where both series participate for both of the East and West divisions. So yeah, Iowa is a pretty big deal. It's a track that was built by Rusty Wallace in the mid-2000s to look a lot like Richmond, except a little bit bigger. And also, considering the Knoxville Nationals are held there and a lot of Cup drivers go there to participate, and, also the Truck Series ran in Knoxville for a couple years. But yeah, Iowa has a lot of history when it comes to local short track racing and the like. It's a very underrated state when it comes down to that scene. It's pretty surprising that NASCAR doesn't explore the Midwest market that much as they should. So I'm definitely that was definitely one of the races that I was definitely a lot of very hyped for. That being said, 350 is a bit weird number of laps. I know the track is slightly longer than Richmond, 7/8 of a mile, but still, I had always envisioned that Cup races at Iowa would be like 400 laps. I don't know how much of an unpopular opinion that is, but I always felt that if they ever did a Cup race at Iowa, it would be like 400 laps long, kind of like Richmond. But yeah, just like last week at Sonoma, we got a full 50-minute practice session because the track, that's because Iowa was repaved, or at least, partially repaved. But as soon as cars hit the track, however, tires started blowing up. Several drivers had blown tires in practice and they crashed. Noah Gragson blew a tire, Ty Gibbs, Austin Cindric, Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, Tyler Reddick. Cindric and Bell going as far as to bring out their backups. But yeah, 20 laps. That was the average lifespan of the tires. We could very well see a repeat of what we saw at Bristol with, drivers not going 100% and racing close to each other, trying to conserve their tires, not wanting them to blister or blow up. Either that or the dreaded Indy 2008 scenario where tires didn't last no matter what drivers do and competition cautions had to be thrown every X number of laps. Hopefully it wasn't that extreme though. I wish... my anticipation for this race was more of like a Bristol, what we saw at Bristol earlier this year. Qualifying was impacted by rain, but it was not canceled like Xfinity. Instead, NASCAR decided to do, single round qualifying, no groups, fastest time gets the pole, like the good old days. God, I miss those times. So yeah, Larson started on the pole, his fourth pole of the year. Also, he was also one of 3 drivers who participated at the tire test in May, the other 2 being Christopher Bell and Brad Keselowski. So he definitely had an advantage as far as, track time and experience at this new partially repaved Iowa. He also, funnily enough, you know how NASCAR, they do like a group photo shoot of all the drivers who show up at the race or every time they go to a new racetrack. Yeah, Larson was not part of that group because he was away at Knoxville. So people were joking that he might need a waiver for that. But yeah, no waiver required for that one. Blaney joining him in the front row in second. Josh Berry third. William Byron fourth. Brad Keselowski fifth. Chase Briscoe sixth. So Stewart-Haas Racing third and sixth. Definitely great. Speaking of Stewart-Haas Racing, there were definitely some news that came out in this week. that I will get into it later. Kyle Busch 7th, Tyler Reddick 8th, Chase Elliott 9th, and Christopher Bell 10th. Like I said, Bell, he blew a tire and crashed in practice, had to go to the backup car. He will start at the rear. Then further back through the field, Joey Logano 11th, Denny Hamlin 12th, Daniel Suarez 13th, Todd Gilliland 14th, Chris Buescher 15th, then Ross Chastain a little further back 17th, AJ Allmendinger 18th, Justin Haley 19th. He looked like really fast in practice, 4th fastest to be exact, and he followed that up with a top 20 in qualifying, which is honestly, for Rick Ware Racing standards, this is amazing. And then Carson Hocevar 20th. Then Austin Cindric, he qualified 21st. He also blew a tire in practice and crashed, and he will also start at the rear after rolling out the backup car alongside Bell. And then Noah Gragson 23rd, who was actually the fastest car in practice. Then Ty Gibbs 27th, Truex 31st, two JGR cars that I'm surprising. It's surprising because Iowa is a lot like Richmond. I know these drivers haven't had the experience that they've had at. Most of these drivers don't have the experience that they've had at Richmond. But considering that Iowa is a very similar track to Richmond, I definitely expected the Gibbs drivers to run, to show up. But yeah, speaking of Truex, he already announced that he is retiring. I'm gonna be talking about that and also Stewart-Haas Racing on a separate video. And I was supposed, I really wanted for that video to come out in this week, but after the news that Stewart-Haas Racing came out, I had to constantly change my script. And now that we are getting closer to knowing who the driver of the 19 is going to be, yeah, I just have to change that entire script, and I just have to, you know, cram it in just to, you know, get it out before another piece of news come out for silly season. But yeah, definitely. You can definitely expect this video. I'm gonna try and get this out after the Xfinity review of New Hampshire, but before the Cup Series race review. So yeah, I'm gonna have to cram it in between this weekend. Either today or tomorrow you can expect it to come out. But yeah. Eric Jones qualified 32nd, Alex Bowman 33rd, a bit deeper in the field. Also, John Hunter Nemechek 34th. So once again, Legacy Motor Club with another poor qualifying effort, which is starting to become pretty usual for them. I definitely really thought that Legacy Motor Club, they were going to do better with the switch to Toyota. They're not really showing that much in the past couple of weeks, especially in qualifying. Then Stenhouse 35th, another driver that, you know, I was really looking forward to have a good race at Iowa, considering that, you know, back when he was in the Xfinity Series, I know that was like 12 years ago, but that guy was the master at Iowa, was an ace at Iowa. There was a point in time where Stenhouse was the guy to beat at Iowa in the Xfinity Series. And then Austin Dillon 36, also another guy that, you know, as you can see, most of the guys that have experience at Iowa in either Xfinity or Truck Series are more of the younger drivers. The veteran drivers like Denny Hamlin, this is actually his first time running at Iowa, which is honestly surprising. They haven't really had that much experience to race there. Also Truex, he hasn't had that experience at Iowa. Kyle Busch has, but only because he started racing at Iowa. When NASCAR started racing at Iowa, this was during the time where he was like running most of the Xfinity and truck races as well, and there were no limitations. So he was able to get tons of experience. But like I said, that was years ago. So now this race begins. We go to stage 1. Larson and Blaney, they battle for the lead. Larson thought he had Blaney clear on lap 2, and then he moves down to the bottom. Both make contact, allowing Blaney to take the lead. We also had an early caution. 3 Spire cars getting together. Hocevar sending Zane Smith into Corey LaJoie. 7 car goes for a spin in the middle of turns 1 and 2. We go to another restart. Larson clears Blaney, this time entering turn 1. And he retakes the lead on the outside, taking Chase Briscoe with him. Although the 12 comes back for a second a couple of laps later. This green flag run goes longer than 20 laps. Tires holding up much better than they did in practice, obviously. Obviously, the cooler temperatures definitely playing a part here as well, because, you know, they're racing now in the late afternoon, heading into the night. So yeah. Also, there were definitely a lot of surprises. Justin Haley all the way up to 9th on speed. Remember, he was top 5 in practice, so this definitely is not as surprising as you think. But considering, you know, the fact that Haley is driving for Rick Ware Racing would never take away the surprising factor. Um, Also, Denny Hamlin dropping all the way down to outside the top 30 in 34th, even falling down a lap in the process to the leader Larson, who, by the way, he got built up a 3-second lead over second place Blaney and 10-second lead over the third place Chase Briscoe. Like, those two were in a different zip code, but obviously Larson was superior, at least in the first half of the race. Then 47 laps into the run, we finally have a caution, the first tire failure of the day. Once again is Allmendinger blowing a right front tire entering turn 1. Fortunately, he felt it go flat and he was able to move up to the outside so the impact wouldn't be that hard. With that being said, even though the impact was not that hard, you gotta remember, these are not Xfinity cars. A hit to the wall like that is not that hard, but it's hard enough to where it can destroy the toe link on a Cup car. And that's exactly what happened, because the 16 kind of did not return to the track again. So with that, we got the first tire-related failure DNF of the race, and we go to pit road. Everyone pits except for Suarez and Keselowski, who decide to stay out. Larson wins the race of pit road over Ryan Blaney and Josh Berry after taking 4 tires. Corey LaJoie and Bubba Wallace decide to take a bit of a gamble, taking 2 tires, both moving into the top 10. Unfortunately for Justin Haley, he gets penalized for equipment interference, and the lap down cars like Denny Hamlin and the like, they do not pit, instead deciding to take the wave around and save an extra set of tires. So we go to the restart, and as soon as the field enters turn 1, Larson and Blaney, they make quick work of the 99 and the 6, and they retake the top 2 spots, and they settle the stage amongst themselves. Only this time, Blaney manages to get the better of Larson, and despite the 5's best efforts, the 12 holds him off and wins stage 1. Larson has to settle for 2nd. Suarez holds on for 3rd, William Byron 4th, Josh Berry 5th, Joe Logano 6th, Corey LaJoie 7th after spinning out early on. Unfortunately, he's going to be at a massive tire disadvantage now because he used like, 1.5 set of tires. Then Keselowski 8th, Chase Elliott 9th, and Kyle Busch 10th, and someone is knocking at the door. Let's see who that is. Yeah, sorry about that. Minor interruption. Yeah, the Xfinity race. I have the Xfinity race on mute here, by the way. It's about to start. They're almost wrapping up pre-race ceremonies. So, by the time I really want to see if I can get through the script of this video before the green flag comes out. So, we got some split strategy on pit road. The leaders stay out. Everyone else pitted. Suarez and Keselowski pitted for tires, as do LaJoie, Berry, Bowman, Hamlin, and all of the other cars that took that wave around during the previous caution. Of course, Daniel Hemrick, he gets penalized for speeding, but that was like the only notable speeding penalty. We go to stage 2. Larson continues to lead with Blaney 2nd and now Chase Elliott 3rd. But we have a quickie yellow for Gragson running John Hunter Nemechek way down, entering turn 3. It looks like he blocked them down the backstretch. But the 42 entered the corner in too deep because of that, and he cleans out the 10 in turns 3 and 4. The 10 goes sideways for a split second and saves it. And you know, I know that the car was sideways and that was like reason enough to throw the caution, but come on, considering how race control officiated the entire race and how some cautions were bogus throughout the entire race, I'm inclined to say that was a bogus caution, because everyone saved it in the end. Like Gragson saved it like half a second after he was spinning out. He was already back on his back on 4 wheels and in control of his car. Like, that shouldn't have been a caution. I'm inclined to feel like that shouldn't have been a caution. Like, I get the debate for this particular caution. I get the debate, but considering what happened and how other cautions were like bogus, I'm inclined to believe that this one was a bogus caution as well. So anyways, we have a big change here. Larson, the leader, comes down pit road. reporting a vibration on the left side tires, so the team opts for a 4-tire change. He falls back to outside the top 30, as only Stenhouse, Gragson, and Joseph are pitted alongside him, and there weren't that many cars lap down. So pretty unfortunate, but this allows for Blaney to now, get his time in the spotlight. So Blaney leads, with Logano up to second and Byron third. And this is a pretty long green flag run, actually the longest green flag run of the race. So we see Larson on fresher tires, charging through the field, making it all the way back into the top 10 in just 25 laps. Man, watching Larson charge his way through the field is so fun. Like, it's not fun when, he has an issue where he has to drop back. But watching him charge his way through the field, it's so fun to watch. I swear, Larson is like the driver, in my opinion. Larson is the driver that's most fun to watch in NASCAR right now. The other two being Tyler Reddick and Ross Chastain. Like, Larson, Reddick, and Chastain, in my opinion, are the three drivers that are like the most fun to watch right now. So of course, with this being a long green flag run, we had some flat tires that didn't bring a caution. Michael McDowell, the first one on lap 114, and then Zane Smith on lap 132. Both of them were right front tire failures, but both made it back to pit road safely. Thankfully, no caution came out. And then on lap 134, Kyle Busch also brought it down pit road after reporting a vibration. He just could not take it anymore. And then on lap 165, just as green flag pit stops are about to begin, Chastain also blows a right front tire. But again, no caution comes out of that. So we go to green flag pit stops. The cycle didn't begin until lap 165 with William Byron coming down pit road. And I gotta say, I'm honestly surprised at how well these tires held up. By far the most amount of green flag laps they have lasted. So, Byron coming down pit road because he was among the leaders. This immediately opens the floodgates. Corey LaJoie, Josh Berry, and Martin Truex also pit, although Truex gets busted for speeding. This eventually brings the leader Ryan Blaney down pit road, as well as Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, and Kyle Larson. While all this is happening, we got another tire blowout. Another right front tire this time on the 43 car of Eric Jones, but again, no caution comes out. This gives the lead to Christopher Bell, who stays out until lap 180, and he pits, bringing Tyler Reddick with him. And just as Christopher Bell comes out of pit road, a caution comes out for Daniel Hemric hitting the wall of turn 2. Again, really? This is the caution that actually, this is the caution that I was talking about when, I was talking about the Gragson spin and how that was a caution. This was the bogus caution of the race. Like, again, seriously, you threw a caution for that, but not for a flat tire. All of these blown tires throughout the run were a more justifiable reason to throw the yellow out. But this is exactly why the leaders did not want to pit as early as they originally wanted to. This is why they ran this one long up until the tail end of their field window. They were anticipating something like this happening. A caution coming out for a tire failure or whatever that potentially screws them over. And it did. So, we go to pit road. Drivers who have not pitted yet do so now. Keselowski, Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, Chris Buescher, Carson Hocevar, Todd Gilliland. This gives the lead over to Stenhouse, who stays out, trapping several drivers a lap down in the process. Ross Chastain and Tyler Reddick among them. While the Hendrick cars of Byron, Elliott, and Larson are right behind them is in second, third, and fourth, respectively. So we go to the restart. Byron tries to pass Stenhouse for the lead, but he gets loose and drifts up the track in turns 3 and 4, allowing Larson, who was right behind them in third, to retake the lead, while the 47 and 24, they fall way outside of the top 10. I believe they finished like 11th and 12th in the stage. But yeah, with clear track ahead of him, Larson wins stage 2, with Josh Berry second, Chase Elliott third, Ryan Blaney fourth, Bubba Wallace fifth, then Denny Hamlin in sixth. Yeah, Hamlin finished the stage in 6th. That caution might have just saved this race. It allowed him to get, a couple of stage points. Chris Buescher, he finished 7th in the stage. Just like Denny Hamlin, he was also close to falling the lap down. That caution saved them as well. Todd Gilliland, 8th. Brad Keselowski, 9th. And Justin Haley, 10th. I gotta say, great bounce back by Justin Haley from that equipment interference penalty on that first pit stop. So we go to pit road. Chris Buescher and Todd Gilliland stay out. Keselowski and Suarez take 2 tires, and everyone else takes 4. And then we go to stage 3, and as soon as the race begins, chaos ensues. Some hard three-wide racing for position between Keselowski, Suarez, and Larson ends with the 99 getting loose off of turn 4 and making contact with the 5, sending him into the wall and collecting Denny Hamlin in the process. And sure, you can't blame Larson for sending a 3 wide in the middle where there was a hole between the 16 and the 99 that he could have clearly felt that he could, clearly fit in. But at the same time, you cannot blame Suarez either for just getting loose off the corner when it was the 5 who put him in that compromising situation to begin with. Like I said, it's just one of those racing deals. I've seen some bogus theories that Suarez wrecked Larson on purpose because of his onboard. He was downshifting. That's obviously not true. Just let it go. It was just a racing deal, okay? It's pretty unfortunate for Larson, though, as he was clearly the guy to beat. Some people are going to say Blaney, but Larson was able to maneuver in traffic, as we saw in stage 2 after he had to pit for 4 tires again when he was fearing a vibration. Unlike the 12, so in my opinion, Larson was the guy to beat, at least for the first half of the race. But yeah, now this changes everything. The moment Larson just crashed, this left Blaney as, the guy to beat for the second half of the race. This was also huge for his regular season title aspirations, although that massive stage point haul will help cushion some of that. I mean, he got 19 stage points and he is finishing 34th, so he's gonna score like 20-something points for this race, but still, it could have been so much more. So, this race is kinda wide open now. Blaney is like the car to beat now, but, he's not Larson. So the race restarts, and the leaders know it. So Buescher and Josh Berry, who are now the top 2, they immediately go to war for the lead for about 5 laps until Josh Berry clears the 17 due to being on fresher tires, and he pulls away to a 2.5 second lead over the second place when the next caution comes out for Chris Buescher himself blowing a tire, another tire blowout. He was actually dropping back through the running order. He got dropped down to 5th before he blew that tire. Okay, I got my stream on mute. I was watching because I had the Xfinity race on mute. I didn't realize the race was underway already. I guess I was not aware. Considering that it's cloudy right now. I'm talking about the Xfinity race at New Hampshire that's going on right now. Oh my gosh. Yeah, rain has impacted that race a lot. They're using wet weather tires. Oh, that's cool. They're using wet weather tires. That's nice. Yeah. It looks like they decided to start this race a little bit earlier, man. I thought they were going to start at 3:30 on the dot. Yeah, I guess that's what happens when you put your phone on mute to record a stream. Okay, so let's go. Because I want to wrap up this stream. So the leaders pit. Blaney, Logano, and Stenhouse, they take 2 tires. Everyone else takes 4. And then under caution, Josh Berry gets into the back of Stenhouse with sound damage to the front end of the 4. But again, nothing significant. So we go to the restart. Blaney holds the lead on 2 tires with Logano second and Byron making it all the way back up to 3rd. We got more issues on the track. This time it's Kyle Busch. He hits the wall while racing Keselowski and Bell for a top 10. And then heads to pit road with a possible, flat tire. But it turns out it was not a flat tire. It was a differential issue. The car was sparking even after coming back on the track. So he takes it to the garage. And for the 3rd straight week, the number 8 team is unable to score a top 10 finish at a race where they showed top 10 speed on race day. You just cannot make this up. I mean, this is Kyle Busch we're talking about. How is it possible that he's struggling this much? But then again, William Byron, while this is happening, and I'm just drowning in my pain as a Kyle Busch fan, we still got a race to watch. So William Byron, he manages to pass Logano for second, and he starts to slowly close in on the leader. Although lap traffic, he definitely gets in the way of that, which also allows Chase Elliott to close in and make it a three-way race for the win in the closing laps. And in those closing laps, we have more tire issues. Again, Michael McDowell with his right front tire again. He comes down pit road. Again, no caution for that. But the race, thankfully, the race goes caution-free. I say thankfully because I didn't want this race to end in crazy overtime shenanigans. So Ryan Blaney finally ends up holding William Byron. And this time, he gets enough fuel in the tank to last all the way to the checker flag, winning the first ever Cup race at Iowa. And also getting redemption from Gateway a couple weeks ago. And he also guarantees the defending champion will be in the playoffs, as this is also his first win of the season. Not only that, but with this win, he also becomes the first driver in NASCAR history to win at Iowa in all three National Touring Series. Because if you remember, Blaney, he won at Iowa in the Xfinity Series, one of the two Xfinity Series that they raced back in the day, back in 2015. And his first career Truck Series win, and also his first ever NASCAR National Series win as a whole, it came at this very track in 2012, back when Brad Keselowski Racing, they were still running Dodge. Not to mention, his mother's side of the family is from Iowa, which explains why a section of the grandstands was reserved for about 80 of his family members. Yeah, so this was kind of like a home race of sorts for Ryan Blaney, especially since Iowa, it's relatively close to the state of Ohio, which is where his father, Dave Blaney, is from. Like I said, the Midwest is a very unexplored market in NASCAR with a lot of potential, since they have a history of local short track racing there. But yeah, let's go through the finishing results because we're already going way over time. The Xfinity race at New Hampshire is already 20 laps in, and I just want to sit down and watch it. So William Byron finishes second. This is the fourth time he finishes second behind Blaney. Blaney has 10 career Cup wins, and 4 of those wins have come with William Byron finished second in 4 of those 10 wins, if you know what I mean. Chase Elliott third. He becomes the new points leader actually, with Larson, crashing out. I mean, he still finished the race, but Elliott finishing third. He's now the new points leader, and he gets like a crazy average finish. I gotta say, Elliott is having a really underrated season. Pretty solid comeback from what was a disappointing 2023 with the injury and frustrations and the whole suspension thing. Good job for Elliott. Definitely turning it around. One more win and he definitely becomes a title contender in my opinion, because he's got the consistency down. If he starts winning more races, he could definitely have a season better than his 2022 year, and he will become a serious contender. Christopher Bell finishes 4th. He got a great long run car towards the end too. If that bogus caution for Daniel Hemrick didn't come out, he would have been up there competing for the win. Ricky Stenhouse finishes 5th. Another great driver at Iowa. Remember what I said about Stenhouse? He was the guy to beat at Iowa back in the day. But yeah, he gets his first top 5 finish of the season. Joe Logano finishes 6th. Josh Berry 7th. In my opinion, the best race Josh Berry has ever put together from start to finish. Finishes 7th. And this is a track that really fits his driving style really well. So I'm not surprised that Josh Berry was able to, get it done. Alex Bowman finishes 8th. His 10th top 10 finish of the season. He's tied for the most among all drivers with William Byron. I believe Christopher Bell also has the most top 10s. Okay, he's tied. So 4 drivers have top 10s this year. 4 drivers have scored top 10s this year. Let me check here. I know William Byron and Christopher Bell because, they were on the graphic, but I'm missing someone. Bell, Byron. Oh, Tyler Reddick. I could have forgot about Tyler Reddick. Yeah, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, and Alex Bowman. They are currently the drivers with the most top 10s of the year. In the year. I mean, it's only 10, but that's because, that's par for the course when it comes to this Gen 7 car. But still, 10 top 10s at the halfway mark of the season is pretty good. Bowman is another driver that's really having an underrated season now that I think about it. Let's see here. Daniel Suarez finishes 9th. Another great top 10 run for him, even if people are going to be particularly the Larson fans, are gonna be mad at him and say that he wrecked Larson on purpose. I'm gonna say this. I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but Larson fans are quickly climbing up the ranks of the most toxic NASCAR fan base. They're right. They're definitely up there, getting up there with the Elliott fans. And finally, Keselowski 10th. Another great run for him. Ross Chastain finishes 11th. He had like a top 10 car towards the end, but in the end he got passed by Keselowski, it looks like. Todd Gilliland 12th. Pretty quiet, but solid finish for him. Then Justin Haley 13th. The same, what I said about Josh Berry also applies to Justin Haley. Probably the most complete race Rick Ware Racing put together from the outset. And I'm not talking about from the race day only. From practice, qualifying. He was 4th fastest in practice, top 20 in qualifying. He ran top 10 for a big portion of the day and even got a few stage points out of there. Definitely the best race I have ever seen out of a Rick Ware Racing car from start to finish. A complete weekend put together. Great job for that 51 team. Carson Hocevar 14th, Truex 15th. Like I said, that video on Truex retiring and Stewart-Haas Racing, I'm gonna just merge them both into a single video as part of my whole 2025 silly season saga, because I just don't have it in me to put like a single video for everything, for every single thing that comes, that for every single piece of news that comes. Otherwise I will become a NASCAR news channel and I don't want that. Chris Buescher finishes 18th after hitting the wall midway through the race. Or rather, late in stage 3. I believe that was the final caution of the race too. Was Buescher hitting the wall? But yeah, he just had a pretty bad day, and it's honestly disappointing because I had Buescher. Buescher has won at Iowa in the past. He won at 2015, one of his 2 wins in his eventual title campaign that year. So I definitely expect a little bit more out of him. Tyler Reddick finishes 22nd. Again, I expected a bit more out of him, and 23-11 as a whole. Michael McDowell 23rd, not 1 but 2 flat tires. Even after the first flat tire, he was like on his way to a top 15, but then the second flat tire just knocked him out of contention. Denny Hamlin 24th, even before the incident with Larson. I know he was running in the top 10, but that was only because of strategy. He just didn't have the car. By far the worst race, or one of the worst races I have seen out of Hamlin on this season. It wasn't going to get worse after, having his engine blow 2 laps in at Sonoma, but finishing outside the top 20 at Iowa after battling an ill-handling car all race long is not that much better. Ty Gibbs 25th, again, really tough day for him as well. Chase Briscoe 28th. He started off the race pretty well, but then he just faded as the race went on. Then Austin Cindric 30th, difficult weekend for him. Kyle Larson 34th. He got the car to beat until, him getting a little too aggressive. And then Kyle Busch 35th. Again, 3 straight races where he's had a top 10 speed, 3 races where he's been screwed out of a good finish. He's right now like 30 points below the cut line, which is honestly surprising. I definitely thought he would be like 40 or 50 below, because it's 30 points below the cut line, but it just feels like he's like more points below the cut line. He's worse than that because, again, it's Kyle Busch, and man, being a Kyle Busch fan in 2024 has been really tough. And finally, AJ Allmendinger in 36. 2 races at Iowa. Both races ended in tire failures for him and early DNFs. So, final thoughts on the race. As for the race itself, it may just be one race, but Iowa has already created a solid case for being the best short track on the schedule with this Gen 7 car. The jury's still out on that opinion though, because Bristol is still the best short track race this year in my opinion. But that was this year. The other 2 Bristol races on concrete were just like decently good at least. With this new Goodyear tire, with this softer tire that it generates more heat and causes it to blister quickly. This new Iowa repave, it has potential to turn Iowa into what we all thought Richmond would become. Tire management, cars being on edge, comers and goers without the need of pit strategy like it happens at Richmond. Like, the only time passing happens at Richmond is when drivers are like on different tire strategies. having a good long run car in this track at Iowa, it actually matters. You can actually advance your position. You look at Kyle Larson in stage 2. You look at Christopher Bell in the coming laps, how he came from outside the top 10 all the way to the top 5. Why didn't we come to this racetrack? Why didn't we come to race at this track sooner? Why didn't the Cup Series come and race at this track sooner? I have no idea. From their very first race at Xfinity in 2009, Keselowski, who won that very first race, by the way, he's always been an advocate for having Iowa run a Cup race. And it took us only 15 years, better late than never, but 15 years it took us for us to finally see a race at Iowa. Now, tire issues were prevalent, yes, but not as prevalent as I thought they would be. We still had a fair share of blowouts, but most of those did not result in cautions. We saw plenty of green flag action, yes, and even some tire management towards the end of those runs. With that being said, we still did have a couple of dumb yellows, Noah Gragson spinning and Daniel Hemrick hitting the wall. The coverage was top-notch too, not only in the commentary, but also the coverage of the storylines throughout the race. I know I'm sounding like a broken record at this point, but NBC coverage is such a breath of fresh air compared to Fox, even if there's no Dale Jr. this time around. Dale Jr.'s presence was sorely missed. But yeah, one of the main reasons why I'm looking forward to the second half of the season, it would definitely numb the pain for when Kyle Busch misses the playoffs. Hopefully he doesn't. I'm still holding out to some hope that he's gonna win and extend that win streak more than ever. But yeah, as for the driver of the day, Ryan Blaney. This was the first time he won a race he led more than 200 laps in. He finally got the job done. And you know, I got a pretty bit of a, you know, I ran into a little bit of a wall with deciding who the driver of the day was, because there were like a couple of candidates. You had Stenhouse, who ran well and ran top 5. That was his first top 5 finish of the season. Justin Haley, again. But I feel like Justin Haley just pops up in the honorable mentions so much that at this point it's not even a surprise. Like, the guy has proven time and time again that he's outperforming his equipment with Rick Ware Racing. Also Josh Berry. Also again, Josh Berry. Oh my gosh, Parker Kligerman just spun out. I'm watching the Xfinity race at New Hampshire. Yeah, Parker Kligerman just spun out. Holy shit. But yeah, like I said, Stenhouse, Haley, and Josh Berry. What I said about Justin Haley also applies to Josh Berry. Just the best race he has ever put together from start to finish so far this season, and in his career as a whole. Honestly, short career. But in the end, I decided to go with Blaney, you know, of his redemption storyline, how he finally got a win, a defending champion finally gets a race win, and also the fact that, you know, this is kind of a home track for him, and he also made him the first driver to win at all 3 national touring series in Iowa. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna give Blaney the driver of the day. I know it's a bit of a cop-out to just give the driver of the day to the race winner, but I feel like Blaney had a bit of a feel-good storyline behind him as well that I felt he had to. I felt he had to give him the nod. And besides, I haven't really picked that many winners to be driver of the day, so might as well go with Blaney just this once. So yeah, anyways, final thoughts on this race. Is Iowa the new Richmond? I mean, that's kind of an insult to Iowa, considering that in just one race it already proved to be superior to Richmond with this Gen 7 car. Not having rear diffusers definitely helped, but overall I feel like the racing at Iowa with or without diffusers is 100% better than Richmond. So yeah, it may just be one race, but Iowa has definitely built a strong case to take one of Richmond's 2 dates. I've already seen people say that Iowa deserves a second date in place of Richmond. And while I do agree that Richmond deserves to have one of its 2 race dates cut off already, like at this point I've just lost hope with Richmond. I don't know if Richmond's second date should be dropped in favor of Iowa, simply because of the fact that Iowa, this is just one race, okay, and it wasn't a partial repave. We need to see a full repave. We need to see how Iowa races on the full repave before I make my final verdict. But what I saw from this first race, I definitely like it. I could definitely add Iowa to the list of tracks that deserve a second race in Cup. But yeah, let's finally end this right here, because this stream has been running way too long. Um, yeah. How many laps have we or how many laps have we already run here? Oh my gosh, stage 1 is almost getting wrapped up on the Xfinity race. So yeah, I'm just gonna turn out the volume and start start watching this race, because I've already missed the first part of the race. But hey, at least I finally got this one out of the way. I promise though, this won't happen again. I'll try to get this out as soon as I can.